The human ship Aurora descended slowly into the glowing atmosphere of Nera 9. From orbit, the planet looked like a jewel, with emerald forests, shining rivers, and clouds that reflected the sunlight in brilliant hues of green and gold. Tom, a human engineer, stood at the observation window, pressing his palm against the cool glass. His eyes widened with amazement. "I never thought I would see a world like this," whispered to himself. Next to him, Commander Voss, the mission leader, checked the landing protocols. "Stay focused, Tom. This is more than sightseeing. Our mission is to establish peaceful contact with the Neron royal family. Every action we take will be recorded and analyzed." Tom nodded, though his heart was beating with excitement. He had always dreamed of exploring new worlds. Yet now that he stood on the edge of first contact, a mix of nerves and awe washed over him. The ship's landing legs touched the ground with a soft hum. Outside, the air shimmered with a faint green mist, carrying a subtle floral scent that was both foreign and comforting. The humans stepped out carefully. The Neron were waiting. They were tall and elegant, their skin reflecting a faint luminescent glow. Their eyes were larger than human eyes and shimmered like liquid silver. They moved with grace, as though every gesture was part of a dance. At the front of the welcoming group stood Princess Alira. She was different from the others. Her silver eyes seemed to look straight into Tom's soul, and her posture radiated quiet authority. Her long hair flowed like liquid silver down her back, and her robes glimmered with soft light, hinting at both royalty and sophistication. Tom felt his breath catch. He had seen images of alien royalty in simulations before, but nothing compared to the real presence of Alira. She nodded in greeting, and he gave a respectful bow. The Neron monarch, King Varel, stepped forward. His voice was deep and calm. "Welcome, humans. We have observed your journey from afar. We wish to learn from each other and ensure our worlds remain in harmony." Commander Voss stepped forward. "Your Majesty, we come in peace. Our goal is understanding, trade, and mutual respect. We hope to learn from your culture and share knowledge from ours." King Varel inclined his head. "Then you shall be guided to our palace. The Neron value honesty, patience, and cooperation. We hope your actions reflect these principles." Tom followed the group across the glowing forest paths. The flora of Neron 9 seemed alive in subtle ways. Flowers opened as they passed, and soft lights traveled along the plant's stems. Birds with crystal-like wings sang melodies that harmonized with the gentle hum of the rivers. Tom felt like he had stepped into a living painting at the palace gates. Tall crystalline doors opened, revealing halls of luminous stone. The walls reflected light in shifting patterns, creating a dreamlike environment. Tom could hear whispers from his crewmates, all expressing their awe quietly. Princess Alira led him to a small chamber where the humans were to stay during their visit. The room was simple but elegant, with soft light panels that changed color based on mood. Tom set down his equipment bag, his mind still on the princess. "Do not be afraid of our customs," Alira said. Her voice was melodic. "We value learning from each other. Observe, ask questions, and respect the balance of nature and technology." Tom nodded. "Thank you, Princess. I will do my best." Alira's silver eyes lingered on him for a moment, as though reading more than his words. Then she turned gracefully, walking toward the balcony where the stars were bright, even in the daylight. Tom watched her go, a strange feeling growing in his chest. It was admiration, curiosity, and an unspoken connection that neither of them understood fully yet. The days passed quickly. Tom assisted with minor repairs in the palace and helped improve the communication systems used to connect the Neron worlds. The Neron technology was astonishing. They worked with energy flows and crystal conduits instead of wires and circuits. Tom marveled at how their hands moved precisely, shaping energy without any visible tools. He felt a sense of pride as he contributed human knowledge to enhance their systems. Alira observed him closely during these tasks. She noted how he adjusted his tools carefully, testing his work before declaring it complete. Many humans rushed or relied on luck, but Tom moved methodically. She was impressed by his patience and creativity. She asked questions, and Tom explained every process in simple words. Avoiding technical jargon that might confuse her, "You humans think differently," Alira said one afternoon, as they examined a light conduit together. "You use curiosity, patience, and imagination all at once. It is refreshing." Tom smiled. "And your people use elegance, harmony, and observation. Together, I think we can make something neither of us could alone." Alira tilted her head, her eyes shining. "Perhaps that is why you were chosen to come here." Night on Naren 9 was unlike anything Tom had seen. The sky glowed with 2 moons, their light reflecting off the rivers and trees. The palace gardens were alive with soft luminescence. Alira invited him for a walk under the stars. "Tell me about your world," she asked, her voice gentle. Tom spoke of oceans, mountains, forests, and cities. He described sunsets, the smell of rain on Earth's soil, and the feeling of wind against the skin. Alira listened intently, occasionally asking questions about things she could not imagine. "And do all humans feel like this? This awe? This hope?" she asked. Tom nodded. "We try too. Some of us forget, but deep down, most people want to explore, to understand, to make a difference." Alira's expression softened. "That is rare. On Naren, we have knowledge, but emotions are often restrained. Humans are fascinating in your honesty." Tom felt warmth in her words. There was no judgment, no distance, only curiosity and sincerity. He realized he could speak freely here in a way he had not felt before. The following day, while helping the palace staff with minor repairs, Tom overheard other humans discussing Alira. "She is amazing," one said. "I cannot believe someone like her exists." Tom chuckled softly, shaking his head. "Yes, she is remarkable. But she is also human in some ways. She feels, she notices, she cares." Later, when he was alone in the garden, Tom found himself whispering without thinking, "I'd marry her if I could." The words slipped from his lips before his mind caught up. He had never said anything like that before, but somehow it felt natural, unknown to him. Alira stood behind a crystal pillar, listening. Her silver eyes widened slightly at his words. She did not feel anger or fear. Instead, a flicker of curiosity and warmth appeared in her expression. Humans had rarely expressed themselves so openly about feelings, and she wondered why this one human spoke with such honesty. For the first time, Alira felt a connection that was not based on protocol or diplomacy. She wanted to understand this human, to see the world through his eyes, and to learn what made him so different. Tom continued his work, unaware that the princess had heard him. He adjusted crystal conduits, tested light arrays, and fixed a minor energy leak. He hummed softly as he worked, completely absorbed in the task. To him, this was normal, a part of his duty. To Alira, it was another window into human character, patient and genuine. By the time night fell, the palace glowed in the gentle light of bioluminescent plants. Tom walked back to his quarters, thinking of the day's events. He thought of the princess's eyes, her questions, her quiet admiration of human skills. There was something special about her, a feeling he could not define yet. Alira, gee, watching from her balcony, whispered softly to herself, "This human. There is something about him." And so, the first seeds of understanding and admiration were planted. 2 worlds, so different in origin and thought, found a spark of connection through curiosity, sincerity, and shared moments. For Tom, Naren 9 was not just a planet to explore. It was the beginning of a journey into hearts, cultures, and possibilities he had never imagined. For Alira, it was a chance to see a world beyond duty. To witness bravery and honesty in a human form, the galaxy outside remained vast and mysterious. But in the glowing palace of Naren 9, a story of trust, curiosity, and the rare beauty of open hearts had begun. The morning on Naren 9 was soft and golden, with light spilling through the crystalline palace windows. Tom awoke early, eager to continue his work with the communication conduits. The palace was quiet. save for the gentle hum of energy flowing through the walls and the distant chirping of luminescent birds. He made his way to the main hall, adjusting his tools and reviewing his notes. His mind, however, kept drifting back to Princess Alira. He remembered her eyes watching him carefully as he repaired the conduit yesterday, and a small smile crept across his face. Her presence was different from anyone he had ever met, human or alien. There was a calm strength in her, a mixture of wisdom and curiosity that intrigued him deeply. Meanwhile, Alira had not slept well. Her mind replayed the soft words she had heard the night before. Tom's whisper, "I'd marry her if I could," echoed in her thoughts. She could not understand fully why the simple words stirred something unfamiliar in her heart. She was a princess, trained to consider alliances, duty, and the balance of her people above personal feelings. Yet here was a human, speaking without hesitation, without concern for protocol. He had expressed something honest and vulnerable, something rare among the Neron. Throughout the morning, Lyra observed Tom from a distance as he worked alongside the palace technicians. He moved with purpose, yet there was a softness to his actions. He explained human methods to the Neron staff with patience and clarity. He asked questions when he did not understand something, and smiled when he found a solution. Alira could not stop noticing the way he treated every person he met, with respect and kindness. Finally, she decided to approach him. She walked down the luminous hallways, her robes brushing against the glowing floor. Tom, focused on the conduit, did not see her until she spoke. "Good morning." "Tom," she said, her voice gentle but clear. Tom looked up in surprise. "Princess Alira." "Good morning. I did not expect you here so early. Wanted to see your progress," she said. "You work differently from anyone here. Your methods are precise, yet thoughtful. It is unusual for humans." Tom blushed slightly, unused to receiving praise from royalty. "Thank you. I try to understand the system before changing it. Mistakes can be costly." Lyra watched him carefully. Then she asked softly, "Do humans often speak of their feelings openly?" Tom paused. His mind immediately went back to his whispered words last night. He realized that Alira might have heard them, though he did not know for certain. "Some humans do," he replied honestly. "Many are cautious, but honesty matters to a few. I believe feelings are important. They guide our actions and decisions." Alira nodded, intrigued. "And what of you? Do you often speak such words?" Tom hesitated. He wanted to be honest, but he was also careful. "I sometimes do," he said finally. "When I feel strongly, I cannot always hide it. It is natural for some of us to express ourselves, even if it surprises others." Lyra's eyes widened slightly, but she said nothing. Instead, she motioned toward the conduits. "Show me your work," she suggested. Tom smiled, grateful for the change in topic. He walked her through the energy flows, explaining the adjustments he had made to improve efficiency. Alira listened closely, asking questions and occasionally touching the conduits to feel the energy pulses. She was impressed at how a human could adapt so quickly to Neron technology, combining logic, observation, and imagination. As the morning passed, Tom found himself speaking more freely than usual. He shared stories of Earth, its oceans, forests, and the cities filled with lights that seemed endless. Alira listened intently, fascinated by a world so different from her own. She asked about human customs, celebrations, and how humans showed care for one another. "You speak with such passion," she said finally. "I have studied humans, but seeing one in action is different. Your curiosity, your honesty, it is rare." Tom felt warmth in her words. "And your people are remarkable," he replied. "You combine knowledge, grace, and harmony. It is not easy to achieve balance in any culture. Yet you do it naturally." Lyra's expression softened. For the first time in her life, she felt admiration for a human that went beyond duty or curiosity. She wanted to know him better, to understand the thoughts behind his actions. Yet she was careful not to reveal too much. Royalty could not show favoritism, and the council watched her every move. The afternoon brought another task. A minor malfunction had occurred in one of the energy distribution chambers, and Tom was asked to investigate. He worked methodically, examining the crystals and conduits, adjusting energy flows with careful precision. Alira followed, asking questions about the technology and offering her observations. Together, they solved the problem faster than either had expected. You see differently than others, Alira said finally. You notice patterns, possibilities, and potential. Most humans would have struggled with this. Tom shrugged. Perhaps, but I also learned from you. Observing your methods helps me understand the system in ways I could not alone. Their shared success brought a quiet sense of camaraderie. For Tom, it was thrilling to see his work appreciated and understood. For Alira, it was fascinating to witness human ingenuity firsthand. A silent bond began forming between them, built on mutual respect, curiosity, and shared problem-solving. As evening approached, the palace gardens glowed in the light of the twin moons. Bioluminescent plants reflected gentle hues of green, blue, and gold. The air was filled with the scent of alien blossoms, and the soft hum of energy from the palace made the gardens feel alive. Tom walked through the gardens alone, reflecting on the day. His mind wandered back to his whispered words from the previous night. He had spoken without thinking, and yet the words felt true. He had never imagined a connection like this with an alien, yet something about Alira made him feel he could, unseen by him. Alira watched from a balcony above, her silver eyes following his movements. She had heard him speak, but she did not feel offense. Instead, her heart felt lighter, curious, and intrigued. Humans were often unpredictable, emotional, and reckless. Yet this human was different. There was honesty in him, sincerity, a courage she found unusual and fascinating. Over the next few days, the humans and Neron continued their work together. Tom assisted with technology repairs and even taught some of the palace staff small methods humans use to improve efficiency. Alira observed quietly, occasionally stepping in to ask questions or share her knowledge. One afternoon, as they worked on a particularly complex energy conduit, a minor mishap occurred. A crystal panel flickered unexpectedly, causing a sudden surge of light. Tom reacted instantly, stabilizing the system with quick adjustments. Alira was impressed by his calm under pressure. "You are brave," she said quietly. "Many humans would have panicked." Tom smiled, though his hands were still steady. "Perhaps, but training, experience, and focus help. Panic rarely solves anything." Alira nodded. "And your honesty helps as well. I can see your intentions clearly. You do not hide your thoughts or feelings from your work or from others." He felt a strange warmth at her words. "I believe transparency is important. Whether in work or life, honesty builds trust. Without it, nothing can last." Alira's gaze lingered on him. For the first time, she considered that humans, despite their unpredictability, had something special. A depth of emotion, a courage to speak truth, and a desire to connect. It was something her people valued intellectually, but rarely practiced in such a raw, personal way. The evening brought another quiet walk through the palace gardens. Tom and Alira strolled under the glowing foliage, their conversation turning from technology to stories of Earth and Neron 9. They spoke of rivers, mountains and forests, of the skies and stars. "Of dreams and ambitions, you humans dream boldly," Alira said softly. "You do not limit your thoughts to what is practical. You imagine, you hope, you act." Tom looked at her, feeling a deep respect and admiration. "And your people plan carefully, with wisdom and foresight. Together, perhaps humans and Neron can learn from each other." Alira smiled faintly. She wanted to speak about what she had heard the night before, but her mind cautioned restraint. She simply said, "Perhaps. I hope we will continue to work together." Tom nodded, unaware that his words had already sparked something in her heart. The connection between them was subtle but growing, built on curiosity, honesty, and shared experiences. Each day they learned more about each other and about the possibilities that lay between their worlds. As night fell, the twin moons reflected off the palace walls, casting shimmering light across the gardens. Alira returned to her chambers, thinking of Tom, his honesty, and the whispered words she could not forget. Tom lay in his quarters, unaware that what he had spoken had been heard. and unaware that a bond was forming that might change both their worlds. The palace and gardens were quiet. Yet in the stillness, two hearts were beginning to understand each other. One human, full of honesty and curiosity, and one alien princess, full of wisdom and wonder, had unknowingly begun a journey that would bridge the gap between worlds and ignite a story of courage, understanding, and respect. Days on Neranine passed with careful precision. The human crew continued their work, assisting the Neron with technology and offering insights from Earth, while the royal family observed each step closely. Tom had grown accustomed to the rhythms of the palace. Every morning he rose early to inspect the energy conduits, check the communication systems, and coordinate with the palace engineers. But despite the work, his mind often wandered to Princess Alira. Alira, in turn, found herself thinking of Tom more often than she expected. His honesty, patience, and curiosity lingered in her thoughts. She admired the way he treated every task with dedication and every person with respect. Unlike most humans, she had studied from reports. Tom's actions and words were grounded in sincerity. One morning, the princess approached Tom while he was adjusting a delicate energy conduit in the central hall. "Good morning, Tom," she said. "May I accompany you today?" Tom looked up, startled for a moment, and then nodded. "Of course, princess. I was just checking the conduit for efficiency." Lyra watched as he worked. "Your hands are precise," she remarked. "They move with thought, not just skill. Most humans would make errors here." Tom smiled faintly. "I've learned that patience is as important as knowledge. And I have learned a lot from your people as well. Your methods are elegant." They spent the morning together, adjusting conduits and discussing energy flow. Tom explained how small variations in energy could affect entire systems, and Alira offered her observations on optimizing the crystalline structures. Together, they worked in harmony, blending human ingenuity and Neron precision. After completing the adjustments, Alira suggested they walk through the palace gardens. The sunlight filtered through the glowing foliage, casting gentle patterns on the ground. The air was filled with the scent of alien flowers and the soft hum of energy from the palace. "Tell me more about your world," Alira said. "I want to understand humans not just through their technology, but through their lives." Tom spoke of Earth's oceans, mountains, and forests. He described cities with lights that seemed endless, and skies painted with colors during sunrise and sunset. He told stories of festivals, traditions, and the simple joys of human life. Alira listened with rapt attention, asking questions and sometimes pausing to imagine what he described. "You humans dream boldly," she said after a while. "You think beyond what is practical. You hope. You imagine. That is unusual." Tom looked at her. "And your people think carefully, with wisdom and balance. Both approaches have value. Perhaps we can learn from each other." Their shared time grew into a routine. Tom assisted with palace technology, and Alira offered insights into optimizing systems with elegance. They discussed cultures, philosophy, and the ways their worlds viewed life, freedom, and responsibility. Through these conversations, they began to understand each other in ways that went beyond duty or politeness. But not everyone in the palace was pleased with their growing closeness. Some members of the royal council whispered concerns. "This human is clever." "Yes, but he is unpredictable," one council member said quietly. "He may unintentionally disrupt the balance we have maintained for generations," another added. "And the princess. Her focus should remain on diplomacy and duty. We cannot allow personal feelings to interfere with the peace process." Alira sensed the tension, but remained calm. She had always been trained to navigate politics and influence carefully. Yet her thoughts often returned to Tom. She admired his courage, his honesty, and the way he approached life with curiosity rather than fear. One afternoon, a minor incident tested their growing bond. A small energy surge occurred in one of the palace chambers, threatening to disrupt the main conduit system. Alarm lights blinked, and palace engineers rushed to stabilize the flow. Tom reacted instantly. moving with quick precision to redirect the energy and prevent a full-scale malfunction, Alira observed. Impressed by his calm demeanor, "You act with courage and skill," she said quietly. Most humans would have panicked. Tom nodded without looking up. Panic does not solve problems. Observation, patience, and action do. Once the surge was stabilized, Alira walked closer to him. "You are unlike any human I have studied," she said. "You combine courage, intelligence, and honesty. It is remarkable." Tom felt warmth in her words. "And your people. You combine wisdom, elegance, and insight. We have much to learn from you as well." Their work together strengthened their mutual respect. But a shadow of tension began to grow outside their bond. The council continued to watch, wary of how human emotions could affect the alliance. The peace treaty between Naranine and Earth depended on trust and balance. Any perception of favoritism or impropriety could endanger the entire mission. Despite these warnings, Tom and Alira continued their collaboration. One evening, Alira invited Tom to observe the luminous rivers of Naran 9. The rivers glowed softly under the twin moons, reflecting the stars above. Bioluminescent plants lined the banks. Alien birds sang harmonies that seemed to resonate with the energy of the water. "Your world is incredible," Tom said, gazing at the rivers. "I have never seen beauty like this." Alira smiled faintly. "And yet you appreciate it with a human heart. That is different. Most Naran observe but do not feel in the same way." Tom looked at her, his expression serious. "I believe feelings matter. They guide decisions, create bonds, and give meaning to our actions. Without them, life feels incomplete." Alira's silver eyes lingered on him. She thought of the whispered words from the night before. She realized that honesty and courage were not only in his actions but also in his heart. A human who spoke truth without fear was rare. And she was beginning to see the value of such honesty, not just for individuals, but for entire civilizations. The following day, their partnership was tested further. A human technician accidentally miscalculated an energy calibration, threatening to disrupt the main palace network. Tom and Alira worked together swiftly to stabilize the system. Their teamwork was seamless, blending human improvisation with Neron precision. Once the crisis was averted, Alira turned to Tom. "Your presence brings balance. You act with thought, yet your instincts guide you as well. I did not expect to value a human in this way." Tom felt a flutter of surprise and pride. "And I did not expect to find someone so willing to teach, share, and trust a human." Their bond deepened with each passing day. Built on shared experiences, mutual respect, and the unspoken understanding that neither world could fully comprehend the other without honesty. They laughed together, learned from each other, and quietly challenged the assumptions of their respective societies. However, tensions were rising beyond the palace walls. Certain factions among the Naran viewed human emotions as dangerous. Rumors began circulating that the humans were too impulsive, too unpredictable, and that their presence could disrupt the delicate balance of Naran society. The council debated how to maintain order while keeping the humans. Engaged in the peace process, Alira sensed these doubts and felt the weight of responsibility. She could not openly challenge the council, yet she could observe, guide, and learn. Tom's presence had already started to change her perspective on human qualities. Could it also change the perspectives of her people? One evening, as the twin moons cast a soft glow over the palace gardens, Tom and Alira walked together, speaking quietly. "Do you think humans can truly understand Naran?" Tom asked. Alira considered. "Some can, but understanding requires patience, observation, and honesty. You have all three, Tom. That is why I value your presence." Tom looked at her, unsure how to respond. "I feel the same. Naran 9 is incredible, but what makes it remarkable is its people. And you are unlike anyone I have met." Alira's eyes softened, and for a moment words were unnecessary. They walked side by side, feeling the quiet hum of energy around them. The soft glow of the rivers, and the gentle whisper of the wind through the alien trees. Yet outside the palace, The first true signs of conflict were beginning to stir. The council debated stricter controls on human access, arguing that emotional connections could cloud judgment. And on the human side, concerns were raised about protocol, trust, and how much influence a single human could have on an alien society, unaware of the full scope of the tension. Tom continued his work, driven by curiosity, honesty, and a desire to contribute. Alira observed quietly, torn between duty and the growing admiration she felt for him. Each shared task, each conversation, each moment of trust strengthened a bond that neither protocol nor politics could easily break. As night fell, the palace rested under the glow of the twin moons. Tom lay in his quarters, thinking about the day's work, the challenges ahead, and the bond forming with Princess Alira. In the quiet of the palace, two hearts from two vastly different worlds were beginning to understand the power of honesty, courage, and trust. They did not yet know the trials ahead, nor the obstacles that would test their bond. But one thing was certain: their connection was real, rare, and strong enough to challenge the assumptions of two civilizations. And so, a story of courage, understanding, and a bond across worlds continued to grow, slowly but surely. Under the twin moons of Naran 9, the calm of Naran 9 was broken one morning by the sudden blare of alarm lights echoing through the palace. Tom had been inspecting a minor energy conduit when the warning sirens activated. Red light cascaded across the crystalline halls, casting sharp reflections across the walls. A sense of urgency gripped everyone present. "What is happening?" Commander Voss demanded, rushing toward Tom. "I'm not sure," Tom replied, his hands moving instinctively over the conduit controls. "There's a major energy fluctuation coming from the main distribution chamber. We need to stabilize it immediately." Lyra appeared at his side, her silver eyes wide but focused. "I will assist," she said. "Guide me through your process." Tom nodded, appreciating her calm under pressure. "We need to redirect the energy flow before it overloads the palace network." Together, they moved through the corridors toward the main chamber. The palace engineers were already there, struggling to stabilize the conduits. Sparks danced across the crystalline panels, and a low hum grew into a high-pitched resonance. Tom's mind raced. He had seen minor surges before, but nothing like this. The scale and precision required to fix it would test both human and Neyron skills. Alira followed his instructions carefully, adjusting energy regulators and crystal nodes under his guidance. Their teamwork was seamless, a blend of human improvisation and Neyron methodical precision. Within minutes, the surge began to stabilize. The alarms quieted, and the hum faded back into a low, steady pulse. For a moment, relief swept through the room. But it was short-lived. The council members arrived, their expressions tense. "This should not have happened," one elder said sharply. "A human caused this instability. How can we trust your presence, Tom, when the balance of our systems is at risk?" Tom froze. "I didn't cause this," he said firmly. "There must be another reason for the surge. I followed all protocols, and the system was stable when I left it." Lyra stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. The surge was not Tom's fault. He acted to prevent disaster and worked with precision to stabilize the system. "We need to investigate the real cause before placing blame." Some council members murmured in disagreement. "You are biased, Princess," one said. "You admire this human too much. He cannot be trusted to maintain the balance of Neyron technology." Lyra's silver eyes flashed with determination. "We cannot make decisions based on suspicion alone. Evidence must guide us." Despite her words, the tension in the palace was palpable. Rumors began to spread that the human presence might have caused a major failure, and whispers reached other parts of the city. Even among the human crew, uncertainty began to grow. Tom and Alira spent the next several hours reviewing the energy conduits. They discovered subtle tampering. Someone had deliberately altered the calibration of the main distribution chamber, causing the surge. The adjustments were too precise to be accidental. This was sabotage, meant to cast blame on the humans and destabilize the relationship between Earth and Naranine. Alira's heart raced. "Who would do this?" she asked quietly. "And why?" Tom examined the data carefully. It seems someone wanted to create distrust, but the precision suggests knowledge of both human and Neron systems. Whoever did this is very skilled, Alira nodded. We must act carefully. Accusing the wrong person could start a conflict between our worlds. Together, they decided to keep their discovery private while gathering evidence. They could not risk panic among the council or the human crew. They worked late into the night, examining data logs, tracing energy flows, and checking for any signs of intrusion. Tom's understanding of human technology, combined with Alira's insight into Neron systems, allowed them to identify subtle irregularities. Finally, they found the Sorsa, small access panel, hidden behind the main control nodes. Someone had inserted a micromanipulator, designed to subtly disrupt the energy flow without leaving obvious traces. This was planned, Tom said quietly. Someone wants to sabotage the treaty and create mistrust between our peoples. Alira's eyes narrowed. Then we must act swiftly. But we must not alert the council until we know who is responsible. Panic would only make things worse. The next day, Alira arranged for Tom to accompany her to the council chambers under the guise of routine inspections. They presented evidence of the tampering, showing how the surge had been caused by deliberate manipulation rather than human error. The council listened. But not everyone was convinced. Some elders remained skeptical, worried that the humans had the knowledge to interfere, even unintentionally. Alira stood tall. The evidence is clear. The surge was not caused by humans. Tom and the engineers acted to prevent disaster. To assume otherwise would be unfair and unwise. Finally, the council agreed to investigate further, assigning a small group of trusted Neron technicians to assist. Tom and Alira worked together, analyzing energy logs and reviewing access records. Each piece of data brought them closer to identifying the true Saboterra rogue faction seeking to disrupt the peace and maintain tension between Earth and NAR-9. While the investigation continued, the bond between Tom and Alira grew stronger. They spent long hours together, reviewing systems, discussing strategy, and quietly learning more about each other. Tom admired Alira's courage and intelligence. She was not only a princess, but a leader capable of balancing diplomacy, duty, and empathy. Alira, in turn, admired Tom's honesty, patience, and ingenuity. He was human, yet he approached problems with clarity, thoughtfulness, and an unwavering sense of responsibility. She began to realize that humans, despite their unpredictability, possess qualities that could inspire trust, cooperation, and even change. One evening, as they reviewed energy logs in the quiet of the palace laboratory, Alira spoke softly. "Tom, why do humans risk so much when they do not know the outcome? You could have left this alone and avoided blame, yet you acted to protect the palace systems." Tom looked at her, his expression calm but sincere. "Because it is the right thing to do. Even if mistakes happen, even if others doubt me, I cannot ignore a problem that could cause harm. Honesty and action are worth more than safety without purpose." Alira studied him, feeling a growing admiration. "Your words. They are rare among Neron or human alike. To act with integrity and courage despite uncertainty, it is remarkable." Tom felt warmth at her words, though he said nothing. The shared silence was comfortable, filled with unspoken understanding. They continued their work side by side, reinforcing the palace systems and tracing the sabotage back to its source. Days later, the investigation revealed the culprit faction of Nearn, technicians who opposed human presence and sought to maintain isolation. Their actions had nearly caused disaster. But thanks to Tom's quick thinking and Alira's support, catastrophe was avoided. The council held a hearing. The rogue faction was reprimanded and reassigned under strict supervision. Alira and Tom presented their findings, earning the respect of many council members who had doubted the humans. After the hearing, Alira found Tom alone in the palace gardens. The twin moons cast a gentle glow, reflecting off the bioluminescent plants and the rivers beyond. "You did well," she said softly. Your actions saved the palace and maintained trust between our peoples. I underestimated the courage humans can show. Tom smiled. We all learn, Princess. I only did what was necessary, and your guidance made it possible. For a moment they stood together in silence, the hum of the palace and the gentle glow of the garden surrounding them. Alira's heart swelled with admiration, curiosity, and something she could not fully name. Tom, she said finally, there is something I must ask. The night you whispered, I heard you. Why did you say those words? Tom's eyes widened slightly, realizing she had heard. He took a deep breath. I said what I felt, Princess. I did not expect you to hear, nor did I expect anything to come of it. But I meant it. You inspire respect, admiration, and something more. I could not hide it. Lyra's silver eyes softened, a faint smile forming. Your honesty, it is rare even among humans. It is refreshing. I wish more of my people could see the value in speaking truth from the heart. Tom nodded, feeling a quiet relief. Then perhaps we can help each other. Humans in Neron can learn from honesty, courage, and trust. That is how peace lasts. Lyra looked at him, her gaze steady. Yes, Tom. Perhaps it is time for our worlds to see the strength and connection, understanding, and courage. That night, as the palace slept under the twin moons, Tom and Alira's bond had deepened. They had faced a threat together, uncovered betrayal, and emerged stronger. Trust, admiration, and a quiet affection grew between them, a human and an alien princess. United not by duty alone, but by honesty, courage, and shared purpose. And though challenges remained, both knew that together they could face uncertainty, navigate conflict, and show that courage and understanding could bridge the vast distance between worlds. The palace of Neranine was quiet in the early morning light, but the air was charged with anticipation. News of the recent sabotage had spread throughout the city, and the peace treaty between Earth and Neranine was about to be finalized. For weeks, Tom and Princess Alira had worked tirelessly, blending human ingenuity and Neron precision to ensure stability and safety. Today, their efforts would be recognized, and the bond they had quietly nurtured would be tested in a public setting. Tom stood in the central hall, adjusting his uniform and checking his tools one last time. Despite the looming ceremony, he felt calm. His confidence came not from pride, but from a deep understanding that honesty, courage, and careful action had guided him through the challenges he faced. He glanced toward the balcony where Alira appeared, radiant in her ceremonial attire. Her silver eyes caught his gaze, and for a moment, the world outside their connection seemed to disappear. Tom, Alira said softly, walking toward him, I am glad you are here. Your presence has been invaluable. Tom smiled. I could not have done it alone, Princess. You guided, trusted, and believed. That made all the difference. Alira inclined her head, a faint smile on her lips. Then let us show our peoples what trust and understanding can achieve. The council chambers were filled with Nearn officials and human representatives. The atmosphere was tense but hopeful. The rogue faction that had attempted to sabotage the palace was present, under careful watch. Everyone knew that the successful completion of the peace treaty depended on clear evidence, cooperation, and the display of integrity from both humans and Neron. King Varel. Alira's father stepped forward, his presence commanding attention. Today marks a new chapter for Neranine and Earth. Despite recent challenges, we have seen courage, honesty, and determination in both our peoples. These qualities have ensured stability and trust. He gestured toward Tom. This human Tom has displayed remarkable skill, courage, and integrity. He acted decisively to prevent disaster, working in harmony with our people. His actions remind us that courage and honesty are universal virtues. The room erupted in polite applause, though some council members remained reserved, cautious in their judgment. Alira stepped forward, her voice calm but clear. The sabotage was an attempt to disrupt trust between our worlds, she said. It nearly succeeded, but thanks to collaboration and mutual respect, peace has been preserved. Tom's actions, and the dedication of the human crew have shown us that honesty and courage can bridge even the greatest differences. Tom nodded humbly. It was not just me. Everyone involved acted with integrity. We are stronger when we learn from each other and trust in each other's intentions. The council murmured in agreement, and the treaty was formally signed. Representatives from Earth and Naren 9 shook hands, exchanged data, and committed to continued collaboration. A celebration was planned in the palace gardens, where humans and Naren could meet, learn, and share culture in a peaceful and joyful setting. Later that evening, Tom walked through the palace gardens, taking in the glowing rivers, bioluminescent plants, and the gentle hum of energy that filled the air. The celebration was in full swing. Humans and Naren mingled, sharing stories, songs, and dances from their respective worlds. The atmosphere was vibrant and full of hope. Alira approached him, her eyes reflecting the soft light of the twin moons. "Tom," she said softly, "tonight is a celebration of peace, trust, and courage. But I must also speak of something personal. I have admired your honesty and courage since our first days together. Your words, actions, and character have touched me deeply." Tom felt a warmth in his chest. He had hoped she would speak of their bond, but the sincerity in her voice surpassed anything he had imagined. "Princess Alira, I feel the same. Your guidance, your understanding, and your strength have inspired me more than you know." She smiled faintly. "Then I will speak honestly as you once did. If our worlds ever unite more closely, if the time comes when a human may join the Naren family, I would choose you. You have shown what courage, honesty, and understanding mean." Tom's heart raced. I do not know what to say, Princess. I never expected, but I am honored and grateful. I feel the same for you, and I will always act with honesty and integrity as I have." Alira reached out, placing her hand lightly on his. The gesture was simple, but filled with meaning, a bridge between worlds, a symbol of trust, admiration, and connection. Around them, the celebration continued, but in this moment, time seemed to pause. Over the next few hours, Tom and Alira walked together through the gardens, talking quietly about their dreams, their worlds, and the possibilities for the future. The humans shared songs and stories of Earth, while the Naren demonstrated their art of light and energy manipulation. Both cultures were enriched by the encounter, and the humans and Naren discovered that mutual respect and understanding could create harmony where conflict once seemed inevitable, as the twin moons reflected off the luminous rivers. Alira turned to Tom. "You have reminded us of what humans can achieve when they act with honesty and courage. Perhaps your qualities will inspire future generations of Naren as well." Tom looked at her, admiration and gratitude in his eyes. "And you have reminded me of what is possible when people, or worlds, choose to trust and learn from each other. I will carry this experience with me always." The night grew late, but the celebration continued. Humans and Naren danced, laughed, and shared food and stories. The palace gardens, usually serene and quiet, were filled with joy, hope, and a sense of unity that had seemed impossible only weeks before. Later, as the crowds dispersed, Tom and Alira stood on a balcony overlooking the palace gardens. The twin moons bathed the landscape in soft light, reflecting off the rivers and glowing plants. "You see," Tom Alira said softly, "peace is not just an agreement between leaders. It is built on courage, honesty, and understanding. You have shown these qualities, and in doing so, you have changed the way we see humans." Tom nodded. "And you have shown that trust, guidance, and open hearts can bridge worlds." "I hope this is only the beginning," Alira smiled. "It is only the beginning. Together, we can show both humans and Naren what is possible when honesty, courage, and understanding guide our actions." Tom felt a quiet pride. He had traveled across the stars, faced challenges, and learned from another world. But more than that, he had discovered a connection that transcended culture, species, and duty. He realized that human qualities, courage, curiosity could make a difference even in the vastness of space. Alira reached out again, this time holding his hand fully. The stars are vast, Tom, but connections like ours can shine brighter than any galaxy. You have reminded us of the power of the human heart. Tom squeezed her hand gently. And you have reminded me that courage, wisdom, and trust can cross any distance. Together, our worlds can achieve more than we imagined. As they stood together, the palace quiet once more, both understood the significance of what had happened. They had faced sabotage, tension, and doubt. They had navigated the challenges with courage, honesty, and cooperation. And in doing so, they had forged a bond that symbolized the very best of humans and Nara 9 alike. The next morning, as the Aurora prepared to depart, the human crew gathered for a final farewell. Alira approached Tom, her expression soft but determined. She handed him a small crystal pendant, glowing faintly in the morning light. "This is a symbol of trust and friendship between our worlds," she said. "Keep it close, and remember that honesty, courage, and understanding are what make humans remarkable." Tom took the pendant carefully, holding it in his hands. "I will, Princess. I will carry it always, and I will act with the same honesty and courage you have seen in me." Alira smiled. "Then this is not a goodbye. It is a promise that our worlds and our hearts will remain connected." The humans boarded the Aurora, preparing for departure. Tom took one last look at the palace, the gardens, and Princess Alira. He knew that the bond they had formed would shape the future, not just for themselves, but for both their worlds. As the ship lifted off, the twin moons reflected off the rivers below, and Tom felt a quiet sense of pride and hope. Humans, despite their flaws, had the courage to act honestly. The curiosity to explore the unknown and the ability to inspire trust across the galaxy, and Princess Alira, with wisdom, grace, and an open heart, had shown that understanding and respect could cross worlds. Together they had created a story that would be remembered for generations, a story of courage, honesty, and the remarkable power of human qualities in shaping the universe. The galaxy stretched out before them, full of unknown worlds and possibilities. But in the hearts of Tom and Alira, and in the partnership between Earth and Nara 9, a new hope shone brighter than any star. They had faced challenges, uncovered truth, and built trust. And in the end, it was honesty, courage, and the choice to act with integrity that had made all the difference. The journey was far from over, but for now, both worlds could celebrate the triumph of understanding. In the quiet power of the human heart, the Aurora sailed toward the stars. Carrying humans inspired by their experiences and a promise of friendship, and on Nara 9, Alira looked to the skies, knowing that the human who had whispered honesty into her life had changed not only her heart, but the future of her world.